So out comes Farage out of nowhere after doing all these, farming protests about how poor and how hard up farmers have it. Um, Out he comes to have a go for the bizarrest of reasons at Jaguar Land Rover for their new logo design. Quite frankly, it's kind of bizarre. Not only that, I am not a car expert, but from what I have seen in some of the comments, these cars that like Farage picks are older than him. Like they existed well before him, but even stranger. If you actually look at the design or what these logos he's talking about, because he goes on about how, oh my word, these logos were like quintessentially British. They were so amazing. You actually have a look at like the grand logo designs of Jaguar throughout the years. It has changed constantly, even like incrementally, like just little tweaks here and there. And anyone who's worked in marketing knows like brand redesigns and refreshes happen periodically about every 8 to 10 years or so. That is when people tend to get a new logo or look up doing up their branding or changing their branding just a bit. And it is important, take my Yorkshire Rose in the background. And it's like a logo so good, it's barely changed in centuries. But this is something, again, instantly recognizable. People know, of course, the white rose. They're the rose on rose. People, of course, remember this is a bit more of a Tudor design, of course, because it traditionally used to just be this part. This part was added on just a bit later for the Tudors, because in here, actually, no, I can't remember which way the Tudor one was now, if it was red and white or white and red. I can't remember which way it was now. But predominantly, that's really the only thing that has sort of changed of the Yorkshire flag and its design over the years. But who cares? Even now, let's say we were to try and upgrade this design, it's a bit hard to really do. You could only maybe tweak some of the colors a bit. Maybe you change the yellows in here. I don't know what exactly yellow you would change it to, but maybe you'd make it, I don't know, a bit brighter. Maybe you'd, you notice these, this is a bit darker and that up one here is a bit lighter. You'll notice that on all of them. Maybe you do something like that, jazz it up a bit like that and say, oh, look, completely brand new design. Meanwhile, all you've done is change this like one section of color to that. But companies do that, brand new logo. But why is, of course, Farage having a go at this company? This is a company that hires, I think, 11,000 people, I think, still in the UK. Why is he so annoyed at this, at this company? Why is he having a go at them? Well, this is a company, or at least always has been a company that has been the target of free market fundamentalists like Nigel Farage. This is part of their big ideological concern of them. They've said that for years, low inflation rates are terrible. They are bad. In fact, as they are concerned, inflation should be high, so that when companies borrow, if they do not grow, then they die. Because remember, to a free market fundamentalist, growth is everything. As long as line goes up, they do not care. But here's the thing, there are hundreds of thousands of companies that have existed for 30, 40, 50, hundreds of years, maybe in some cases. They haven't, quote, grown, but they've done all right as a company in business. And Jaguar Land Rover is one of those companies that for many years, maybe it hasn't done, absolutely super smashing great numbers in recent years, but it still makes a profit, still turns over quite good numbers year on year as a business, still sells a good number of, cars and Land Rovers, every number of years does quite a good job. But of course, no. In the mind, of course, of free market fundamentalists like Nigel Farage, this is what they would label a zombie company. That the only thing that was keeping Jaguar Land Rover alive was its ability to borrow money, but because interest rates were so low, it could sort of hide the numbers, hide it beneath the thing that it wasn't really growing or anything like that. Meanwhile, of course, does Farage have any evidence that it was borrowing like vast amounts of money to stay afloat? No. And yeah, I probably do not doubt maybe at some point they have borrowed money. Most companies do at some point or another. But using it to stay afloat, no evidence that they are in quote such dire financial straits. But of course, no, apparently this new logo design is part of the new woke disaster capitalism that Farage is said that is about to sort of give birth now to all these, excellent, once amazing, true British companies. They are going to die. But of course, what Farage would love to do was for Jaguar Land Rover to fail, and then, of course, to be sold off to well, probably American venture capitalist firms that will just go yoink, move it over to America, and there go 11,000 jobs in the UK in car manufacturing. And Farage will call that a win. Why? Because that to him is part of his free market fundamentalist ideology that these zombie companies deserve to die. And that is why, out of nowhere, Farage really decided to do this, because this is whole cloth part of their ideology, their free market fundamentalism completely on display. And they have had, if you look up a lot of these people, you will see they have an absolute hatred for like so many British companies because they quote survive or aren't growing, even though they will gladly partake in many of their brands on a numerous sort of occasions. But again, let me know what you think. I think it was sort of worth explaining that because I think it may have confused people. Like, why is Nigel Farage suddenly going after Jaguar Jaguar Land Rover on this? So at least you now know why that happens to be sort of the case. So as always, let me know what you think down below. But hopefully, I've given you a bit of an insight into this. It's not the first time we've talked about these free market fundamentalist belief of zombie companies lurching around in the UK. So, of course, as always, let me know what you think down below. And of course, we'll see you all next time.